Hey, Manor fans, welcome back to another episode of Monday Mojo. Recorded on a Sunday, dropped on a Monday. It's me, myself, Christopher Soba, with my co-host, Christopher Zweifel, and our ever so talented Emmy-nominated producer, Mr. Evan Barron, Baseline Barron, EPUB, coming at you. Kind of an all right week for Mariners baseball. Ups and downs, roller coasters of emotions. For mostly brought to you by Rafael Montero. We'll get into that in a bit later. But Chris, I know we kind of had you got a pretty good week of review, and kind of want to pass that to you. Run us through what we saw this week.
Yeah, I didn't know that I was going to be the week in review guy, but looking back on the last couple episodes that have done really well, by the way, we're climbing, boys. 173 on episode 13. And Evan, what's episode 14 up to now?
We got over 100 views. I'd say about 105 views for it. So it's awesome because when we first started putting out these videos on YouTube, they're only like 5-10 viewers. But I mean, we were focusing more on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But it's good to see us finally building an audience, and I think it's just because we've been so consistent. We're never going to widen our viewers, man. We're going to put out an episode every Monday. What is it, Chris?
So Monday Mojo, recorded on a Sunday, dropped on a Monday, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So we just appreciate you guys staying with us and enjoying this journey, and so keep it going, Chris. Let's see what was your thought on the Mariners?
Week in review started June 8th because we didn't play on Monday, so we didn't have a full week. Lost 5-3 at Detroit. They've had our number. Swept us the first time they came to T-Mobile. We were at their place this time. Marco gives up 3 runs in the first, only goes 4. I expect him to. Now it's kind of time. Like, hey, Marco, you got to get on track because we need you with the injuries. It was nice to see Kikuchi come back and not miss a start, as you said, Soba. And then 4 earned runs for him. So
that for Kikuchi?
No,
Marco.
Still talking Marco, but I was just saying, with the injuries. Then we go to the 9th, June 9th. That was the game where we won at 11, and you see Dylan Thomas come up, make his debut. How about that guy? He had a crazy catch out in right field. He also gets 2 RBIs. We win 9-6 in the 11th. Flexen goes 6 innings pitched. He's just been consistent, 300 runs. Seager 3-run bomb. Outfield D is what I highlighted. Fraley.
Outfield D was so good, baby.
Jake Fraley, baby.
Rake Fraley.
Detroit, their center fielder had an amazing play at the wall. I've never seen a game where 3 outfielders make those type of plays.
Yeah, dude.
We need to talk. We need to spend a little time. We'll stop there on June 9th, but we need to spend a little bit of time talking about Jake Fraley's home run robbery there. That saves the game. That wins us the game.
That was crazy, man. Like, I was watching that and hearing Goldie's voice cracked like times a million. He goes, Jake Fraley! He was cracking all over. But that catch, timed it perfectly, leaped over the fence, and it's like you said, it's a game-saving. It's robbing a walk-off. Holy shit! And then we come back and win it later in the game. We were undefeated in extra innings until last night, Saturday, when we did not win in extra innings because we were up 4-1 going into the 9th inning, and Rafael Montero did what he does, save
that. So we'll move on to the 10th, June 10th, lose 8-3. So Detroit takes the series from us. We've only taken 1 out of 6 games from Detroit this year. So, that's not good when you're losing to bad teams, but they have our number for one reason or the other. Service just said Sheffield was not on his game. We also had 3 errors, 2 on Seager. No one had Seager this week in our pick'em, so no one gets penalized. Detroit just put pressure on us all game. They had guys on base in the first, in the second. They put 2 up in the first. Scored runs in 3 of the first 4 innings. So they were just kind of all over Sheffield. He just couldn't really find his rhythm out there, and he's had a little bit of a disappointing year for me. What do you guys think? No, Sheffield.
Oh, sorry. Sheffield. He's we'll see what happens. It's been disappointing. It's been like, the one thing that's not disappointing is his consistency in being on the mound and making his appearances,
which is a valuable in itself. Just
for us, for the Mariners, that's extremely valuable because of the injuries that we've had.
But one thing I would say is you could either say that this is a credit to Justin Dunn, or it's that Justice Sheffield has come down to a level that really we didn't think he would be at. I thought he would be one of our better pitchers, but Justin Dunn has surpassed him now as a prospect, in my opinion. We traded for Sheffield in the Paxton deal. I'm not too down on him. It might be more that just Dunn has really impressed me. He had we were talking about Elias and
Ronas Elias, yeah,
and Bedard with their
quality starts in a row or something.
And Dunn really impressed me this year. We'll move on to the 11th though. So I Sheffield not on his game, and Service kind of had some harsh words for him after the game.
What did he say?
I can't verbatim bring it up, but he's just like, Chef was not on his game, and it's really disappointing after he had a good start the week after that. He couldn't come back and build on it. Like, it's really disappointing, and he wasn't really mincing any words. I'll wrap up.
Good. I want to hear that from Scott. That's that shit.
Yeah. The manager, he's there to not be a buddy, but put a little pressure on, and we'll move on to June 11th. This is kind of funny because who would have thought allergies would be a big part of this podcast? So we talked about it in the first episode with Mookie Betts missing the game. Later in this episode, you'll see that when Ryan Divish comes on, we ask him a question about allergies. Then in this game, in June 11th, Savali, who absolutely shoved on us, 8 innings pitched, 1 hit, 11 Ks, 0 earned runs. He came in the game and he was feeling horrible because of allergies and was almost scratched from the game. He felt miserable coming into the game, and he just shoved on us. Dunn was bad. 3 innings pitched, 9 hits, 5 earned runs. I'll pass it off to you, Soba. We can talk about June 12th because that was the Montero game.
I mean, first things first. Yeah, I was kind of with you saying with you saying Sheffield was coming over or surpassing Dunn. I was hoping you'd bring up Dunn's outing because Dunn looks like trash.
That was very disappointing.
I'm a little torn. I don't know which one's going to be better in the long run. We'll see. Only time will tell. I probably would right now, I guess, put my money on Dunn. I could see Dunn going into being a reliever, but that's some other side shit that I'm talking about here. But June 12th, hats off to Yusei Kikuchi. That guy pitched a hell of a game coming back, and that's what I'm just hyped to see in trying to spin it to make a positive out of that game. Yusei looked phenomenal, and the thing is, he actually didn't look phenomenal. To start the game, he was really brutal. It was really rough. He didn't allow any runs, but he got into the jams and worked himself out of it and just didn't look like he had his command. And then he found it. He found it in the middle of the game, and he pitched, what was it, 6 2/3, 7 innings? He get through. Yeah. He dominated, and we were up 4-1. And then and Rafael Montero comes in to clean up the game in the 9th. 2 quick outs, baby. 2 quick outs. And then 3 really quick runs. And that shit.
Hey, you're too happy right now. I'm still pissed off.
Oh, I'm still pissed. But I'm Mr. Optimistic. I gotta have this. There's
no one on base. There's 2 outs. You're up 3 runs, and he's trying to get so cute, and he walks a guy. He walks another guy. Then Bradley comes up for them, who's been hot, and he sprinkles in a hit, and then you just see it completely unravel.
Homeboy needs to go. I'm saying it. Homeboy needs to go.
Are we there yet?
Yeah, he's not doing anything but negative for us.
I'm like a kid in the back seat. Are we there yet?
Yeah, we are there yet. We're there now. He needs to go. I mean, I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's fun to have in the clubhouse, but he's not fun to have on the mound. I'll tell you that. He's not fun to watch as a fan unless you want to have an emotional roller coaster dictate your life, like he does.
You get in trouble when you make emotional decisions. And after that game, I was like so pissed off that I'm like, cut him, done, off the team. But again, in a previous episode, we said I just don't want to see him in a closing role. But then we put him in a closing role. I want to see him as a middle relief.
Well, the only reason he was closing last night is because Keenan Middleton got sent down to Tacoma. Kendall Graven, it was his first game back, so they didn't want to have him in a high stress situation. The only guy we had to go to was him, and he blew it again because that's what he does when he's a closer. He just blows it and blows it and blows it and blows it some more.
We could have put in Seawald because Seawald came in the 10th. I would have
rather seen Seawald. Yeah, I would have rather seen Seawald, no doubt. But yeah, I don't know. That's tough. And I was a little kind of, I guess, confused on why Keenan got sent down.
I was just about to ask that.
Yeah.
Do you know, is that an injury related?
I think it's because he had like one bad outing, and maybe there's something mechanical that they want to look into. And we do have a phenomenal pitching coach down in Tacoma. I forget the gentleman's name, but he is widely respected around the entire league. So I think maybe sent him down so he could get some tips and learn some tricks from this guy. Maybe something mechanical was going on that he wanted to look into, and that's the place to do it, down in Tacoma. And so hopefully he gets brought back up soon. Hopefully, we make an announcement that Rafael Montero gets designated down there. Maybe he needs to do some work. He obviously does because we've dived into that a lot. But Rafael Montero,
I'm still pissed off. I could talk about it all day.
It pisses me off, man. It's tough to watch. It really is. It really is.
You're probably right on about Keenan Middleton. Is that he had a good ERA before that last outing where he kind of blew up. And so he's still, you would think, unless it's something mechanical, you wouldn't send him down just from one bad outing. So yeah, they probably picked up on something that he's doing that he was maybe doing, in bullpen sessions before that bad outing. They're like, no, let's just get him down, clean it up, and then you can come back. And when he comes back, I think he could take Montero's spot.
Oh, 100%. 100%. He should take Montero's spot.
We brought up Johan Ramirez, and we don't know what that guy is, so he might just take that guy's spot.
Yeah, we'll see. We got a lot of kind of no-namers in our bullpen right now. Hector Santiago, Johan Ramirez, some other guys, but they're doing their thing. Man. Hector, no, yeah, I'm not taking anything away from him.
I get you.
Yeah, he's been doing good though. But that brings us then to Sunday. We just finished we squeezed out a win. Not squeezed out, but we at least got one win from the Indians. Should have had two, should have got a series win. But going against Shane Bieber. And we, the Mariners, have had this guy's number. We're taking it to him. I don't know why. This guy's like one of the best pitchers in the league, and for some reason our bats come alive when we play him. One thing I'm kind of want to ask a question about Mitch Haniger. I saw that foul ball he took off the knee. Have you guys seen any updates on his health?
It was a contusion, and he'll be probably missing, 1 or 2 games, but it wasn't like a Kikuchi contusion. Like, he'll be back.
It looked like it hurt like hell, but I'm glad that that's okay. But yeah, we had 10 hits and 5 runs off Shane Bieber today. That's incredible. And JP Crawford, okay, just in the month in the month of June. Jesus Christ, my guy. This guy's on fire. He's on fire. JP Crawford is doing everything and then some more. I mean,
I forget who had him in the pick'em. Oh, I did.
Did you?
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Funny,
I did.
Man.
Yeah.
Funny, man. Yeah.
Hey, Evan won the week again.
Awesome. He did.
2-0, baby. 2-0. Let's go. I think you're talking a little bit shit, Chris, in our group chat about what you know what I was thinking, but I know what I'm doing, man. I know what I'm doing. How many points did you have this week, Chris? How'd your boy Ty France?
I added his points up. I don't even think he knows what he had. I have his numbers right here.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll get to that.
Well, I actually want us to talk about today, though. How about Logan Gilbert?
Yes.
He had a great outing today.
The guys, so I was watching the game on Cleveland's broadcast, not Root Sports. So I was hearing their announcers, and they were giving some kudos to Logan Gilbert. They're like, this guy is figuring it out, and this is his 5th outing now, and he's doing really well. His changeup is coming alive. His curveball was a little off today, but it had some still good movement. His fastball was getting located perfectly. That slider was looking good, but that changeup to a left-handed batter today, when it just dips and then goes right, oh my goodness, the bottom drops out of it, and they swing and miss, looking like a fastball, but it's a changeup. Got a 98-mile-per-hour heater. Can get that high, and then a 75-mile-per-hour changeup. That's incredible. That's crazy. And if you can dial that in like he did today consistently, he's going to be our best pitcher, no doubt. He's going to be our ace.
Yeah, just getting a feel for his secondary stuff is huge for him now that he's starting to locate that fastball. And we're just seeing this guy make it's one step at a time. Now he's got that fastball location down. Now he's starting to mix in that changeup, as you said, which is a good pitch, but he wasn't throwing as much of. Curveball was a little bit off today. And on the last start, you talked about Murphy blocking that curveball because it was way off. But it looked like he had it a little bit more dialed in today. And I love him as a prospect. He is not disappointed at all. I didn't think he was going to come up and in his first 4 starts be Shane Bieber, who we just beat. Like he's not going to come up and do, AL Cy Young stuff like some guys have done in like a Shane Bieber out of nowhere. But you got to be patient. That stuff happens. But the more traditional route is that a guy comes up, he struggles a little bit, and he finds it, and now he's starting to find it. It's a good sign.
Wonder who else is starting to find it? Not in the Mariners, but on Tacoma, Cal Raleigh. And I really want to see Cal Raleigh getting brought up. He's got a 20-plus game hit streak now. He's hitting like 400 over these 20 games, and he's got 35 hits. That's incredible. This guy's raking. He's gonna. I mean, Jose Godoy has been doing decent. He had a good day today, I guess. But I want to see Cal Raleigh get brought up.
It goes back to your theory of that this should be like the organizational way that they do things. Is that don't be afraid to bring a guy up, and if he doesn't immediately hit it out of the park, you can sit him back down. I think I'm pretty close to seeing Cal come up, and I think that he will be up before the All-Star break for sure, but probably later in this month. See him at the end of June. Our catching spot is even though Murphy's turned it around, it's a weak spot on the team. So, but it is a little bit difficult bringing up catching prospects because there's so much on their plate already with catching and controlling a pitching staff, and they got to get familiar with everyone, and then you're asking them to hit too, and it's like it's a little bit easier for a positional player they are a positional player, but like for an outfielder to come up and it's not as demanding to be a defender in the outfield is and you can kind of just
it's much more harder as a catcher, 100%. But he also standing up for his pitcher the other night, got ejected. Pitched right down the middle, and the umpire called it a ball. And Cal Raleigh had like 3 hits in the game. We were up by a number of runs. The Tacoma Rainiers, this is, and Cal Raleigh turns around and starts talking shit. And he gets thrown out of the game. And Edgar Martinez actually tweeted out saying how much he loved it. He's like, "That's what I want to see out of these young guys." I was like, "Let's go, Edgar. I see you. All right." But yeah, Cal Raleigh will be sticking up for his boys, and you love to see that. That dude's huge, man. He's just like seeing him like get out of the crouch position and stand up, and like he was towering over the ump. I'm like, God damn, dude, he's a beefcake. He's a beefcake.
Switch hitting like 6'3" catcher. That's interesting.
I've seen nothing like it before. But yeah, that's pretty much what we got for that. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Divish, beat writer for the Seattle Mariners, for the Seattle Times, and been writing about the Mariners for years. If you don't know him, you should. If you're a Mariners fan, he's in the newspaper every day. He's tweeting every single Mariners baseball game. Great dude, fun conversation. We talked about a lot of stuff, and I'm excited for you guys to be able to listen in and kind of, see what goes on inside the mind of Mr. Ryan Divish. So that's coming up next. What's up, man? How are you? I'm
good. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Appreciate you taking the time to hop on the Zoom today. First things first, I know it was your birthday last week. Happy belated. You do anything fun?
Yeah, I had a surprise. Girl I'm dating, she threw me a surprise party, so it was kind of cool. I hadn't never had a surprise party before, so a bunch of my media friends were there. What's funny though is I had to cover the game that night, so I didn't really get to celebrate until afterwards. And of course, the Mariners had to play a 3.5-hour game, so it took a little longer.
Yeah, that's been they've been having some long games this year, but I mean, I guess that is what it is. But yeah, another first question I kind of wanted to lead off with you real quick. On the show last week, we were talking about I saw a tweet from somebody from the Dodgers, and Mookie Betts had missed a game because of allergies. And I know your severe experience with allergies has been pretty rough. Is that a legitimate thing to be missing a game for?
I don't know about missing a game. I guess I don't know exactly what his symptoms are. For me, it would be difficult, I think, in the sense that like I have really like my eyes get really itchy and red and watery, and so like your vision does get a little clouded. You know, you're taking the eye drops or whatever, and taking antihistamines and stuff like that, and you just feel, I mean, kind of miserable. And then some of that stuff, like the decongestants and everything like that, makes you feel really run down. And so I could see a little bit of that. But I mean, it's LA too. It's not like it's out here where there's so much, you know, pollen in the air. And that's like, I had allergies when I was younger, but I never dealt with them like I did out here when I first moved out here. And they seem to have gotten progressively worse. But also, I'm pretty irresponsible. The trick to allergies is taking your medicine every day and doing all that stuff. And I'm not great at that.
Hey, Ryan, I'm a big fan. Welcome to the show. I just had kind of a warm-up question as well. How frustrating is it when you have a story written up, say it's like the 8th inning, and you think it's safe to write the story, and then everything switches, and is it worth it, or if the Mariners are the one doing the comeback? I know you've talked about that before, but
yeah, it can be frustrating because like basically I try to start writing, you know, I'm writing down notes, or I'll type out a few sentences here and there on my computer. As the game is going on, I'll have stuff going on, you know, that I'm writing on. So I have to file something the moment the game ends. Like we have to have a story ready to go the moment the game ends, or within 2 minutes of the game ending. And so that can be a little tough because you've written something readable, and then all of a sudden, you know, Fernando Rodney happens, or something crazy happens, and you have to change. I mean, that's the thing, you know, your name's next to it. Invariably, that's when you make typos. And plus, you know, the deadlines are just pretty tight now. And so all that kind of factors into it. Like I've been writing about a game that the Mariners are going to win or whatever, and they come in the 9th and they mess it all up. But I mean, they mess it up to the point where I have to write about it again. You know, like I have to rewrite, because what's done in that 9th inning is the story now. It's not the other stuff that I had written, but what they did in the 9th inning to survive has become the story. Basically, we have to have what they call the running game story done within 2 to 3 minutes after the final out is made. So they can get it on the website. They can read it quick and get it on the website so people can go there. And a lot of times that's going in the first edition of the newspaper, like going to some of the, like Tacoma and some of the farther outreaches. And so you're writing that, and you're writing throughout the game, and you're taking notes, and you want it to be readable. I don't just want to write play by play. I'm trying to write about, you know, basically when I write a game story, I'm writing for the people that are watching the game, trying to provide more insight or more like background on why things are happening. And then also just like, usually what I lead with is basically like, I always tell people, like, if I was going to go meet some friends at a bar after the game and they didn't watch the game, what would I tell them first? They say, well, how was the game? Well, the Mariners won, they did this, this, and this. Well, like when the Fernando Rodney experience would come in, he'd become the story. And the story is the last 3 outs because, you know, it's like the whole saying, hit 2, walk 3, come on boys, play some D. That's what he is. I mean, like, he could walk the bases loaded and think, well, I'll just strike this guy out and I'll get a ground ball here for a double play and it's over with. Whereas everybody else is going, this is disaster. This is going to end badly. And so that's why I get so mad about extra innings. I don't mind the baseball portion of it. It's great. When you're a fan, it's great. It's when I got to write and deadlines getting tight. And then, you know, invariably, like when you're in a hurry, and that's when you make mistakes. Because I told somebody once, like, I had, you know, I think there was one time where I wrote 850 words in probably 7 minutes, as fast as I could write, just trying to crank it out as fast as I could think it out and write it. And, you know, and I'm like, yeah, if I might not get it perfect, or I might leave out a word, that's going to happen. But yeah, that's why it's like the walk-off wins are cool for fans and it's exciting and it's easy to write about. But a lot of times on those games that are crazy, or the extra inning games, those are like my worst game stories, because we just don't have enough time to really write and craft it out, you know, and provide more insider analysis. And then now with no clubhouses and we only get these guys on Zoom, that even lessens them even more.
So with kind of feeding off that, what's your take on having the runner on second base then to shorten those extra innings? You liking that for your specific role then?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't hate it. So I play pretty high level men's fast pitch softball. I've done it since I was 18. Even when I was playing baseball in school and college, I'd come back in the summer and play fast pitch with my friends. And they have that international tiebreaker rule. It just forces action. It forces teams to make a decision on the philosophy, whether you bunt, what do you do, and it changes the complexion. I mean, it does make it go quicker, and it forces action. A lot of times, like if a game is 1-1 for 9 innings, it's not like they're suddenly going to just start scoring runs in the 10th. I don't care who they bring in, And so I like that aspect of it. I think it has cleaned up some of these long games. I'm happy they don't do it in the postseason, obviously. But yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate the doubleheaders either, the 7-inning doubleheaders either.
Yeah, no, I like those. I'm curious with do you have any insight on like why the M's and specifically are doing so well in extra innings? We're undefeated, if I'm not mistaken, in extra innings. And is it something that Scott's having the team do once it gets to that scenario when we got a guy on second? I mean, we pretty much bring him in every time.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. The one thing is the Mariners, if you look at it with runners in scoring position, and this is not typical Mariners, they're like one of the best in baseball. And that probably even includes today going over 7 with runners in scoring position. But they've been, I think, hitting around 3-something in runners in scoring position, which is not, usually it's always like with the Mariners, like, oh, they'll load the bases with nobody out and get nothing. But they've been better. I think, like, when you have guys like Seager and some of the older guys, they'll hit behind runners, they'll move the guy over. I mean, that first out, if you're going to make an out, that runner better get to third base. I mean, that's the thing. If you're going to make the first out of an inning, the runner has to be moved over to third base some way. I don't love bunting, but, I think that does, there is a time and a place for it. And that may be one of those things. And, they've been good at getting sack flies. So I guess that's it. I mean, they do work a lot on situational hitting in spring training. They focus on, I think all teams do, but the Mariners have just been pretty good at it. And the one thing too, like when they're at home, like if you can get out, I mean, like when you can get that, if you somehow get a 0 in the top of the 9th, I mean, you should win it in the bottom of or the top of the 10th. You should win it in the bottom of the 10th. There's no reason you shouldn't. If you execute and do properly and you get that scoreless frame on the top of the 10th, you should win.
So do you think the home team would have the advantage in most situations in those extra inning games?
I would think so. I mean, because you kind of know what score you're playing for as well. Like you can play for the 1 run a lot of times, especially if you're only giving up, because you can always match too. I think another factor is the Mariners bullpen has been pretty good, and that makes a difference. You're bringing in guys that have pitched pretty well, mostly for the season, and you bring in the right guys, and that's how you win games. I mean, I know a lot of people go crazy over bullpen decisions and like when to pull a starter and stuff, and I don't think Scott's the greatest at running the game, but I definitely don't think he's one of the worst. And we don't always know like who's available and who isn't. I mean, I'll look at how they use the bullpen this year, and it's been pretty good. I mean, considering they've used a lot of different guys, you can't throw, or they won't throw Kendall Graveman back-to-back days, things like that. I mean, I thought he's done a pretty good job overall. I mean, it's not great, but again, like you only remember the games he messed up, and I told people like this isn't his idea to do the 6-man rotation and have to have a bullpen start all the time. The general manager controls a lot of what goes on, even on the game. The in-game strategy as well.
So, Ryan, we saw Jared Kelnick come up, and not what we wanted to see with him, but all of us on this podcast are still very bullish long-term on Jared. I know you spoke to him Tuesday after his struggles. He went 0 for 39 just in his last stint with the team, and now he's sent down. How was the conversation with him, and how do you think his head is?
Yeah, I think he's fine. I don't think he's pleased that he's there in Tacoma. I'm sure he understands it on some level, but in Jared's mind, he's 1 pitch away from a home run or a single and breaking out of it, like all good hitters. Like a lot of people are like, oh, this is going to ruin him or this is going to wreck him. It's going to shatter his confidence. Like, it's going to take a lot more to shatter the confidence of that kid than an 0 for 39 stretch. I mean, honestly, I just being around him and how he kind of believes in himself, he doesn't think that, this is a big deal in terms of his development. This is just a blip and he'll move forward. I do think it was a little humbling for him on some level. Because I think he thought after that second game, he hits the bomb as oh, this is going to be, I wouldn't say easy, but this is the way it's going to be more often than not. And he ran into a stretch where I think he faced a lot of pretty good left-handed pitching. Right. He wasn't getting some calls at the end when he clearly just trying to get 4 hits in one plate appearance. And then also just carrying the failures to every at bat and the eruptions and the breaking of the bats and stuff. I think that also factored into the decisions. Like, look, this kid is getting so irritated with everything that's going on. Let's just give him a time to catch his breath and bring him back up. I don't know how long he'll be down there for. With the Mariners' weird injury situation they always seem to have, he could be up again quickly. But, if he gets down there for 15 to 20 games, I think that's all he's really going to need.
So we actually touched on that in the last podcast, and I was saying that I don't mind that he was if he was slamming the bat but he was mixing in some hits, but you started to see it kind of take a turn where it's like he felt like he really was just pressing, and I know he's an emotional guy, and when it first started happening, I was like, I kind of like it. I mean, he's showing his emotion, and we know he's a cocky kid, and he expects the best from himself. But it got to a point where it seemed a little overwhelming. But we can move on from Kelnick. Chris,
well, yeah, I mean, but that's one thing. He does have an edge to him. He plays with an edge and a little bit of a chip on his shoulder for whatever reason. He's super talented, but there is an intensity. I don't think you want to take that away from him in that sense. But but there are times where it has to be redirected in other ways and dropping F-bombs and smashing bats. And I mean, you're talking to somebody who's been ejected from multiple college games for those same reasons. So I'm not I don't, I was more of a breaker of the helmets. It was always the helmet's fault. But I don't think you want to take that away from him. But at the same time, it just wasn't, the eruptions were getting more and more, and I was waiting for him to really go off on an ump as well, because he did have some tough breaks on calls, and I don't know, it's a fine line. That's people think Kyle Seager doesn't get angry after his at-bats, and we've seen him break some bats or slam some stuff in the field this year, but there's a room behind the Mariners dugout where most of the players go to vent and get angry and break things. And really, if those walls could talk, I could write a book on it. I've heard some stories and stuff like that about things that have gone on, but the players don't talk about it obviously. But if you remember Logan Morrison, he went, in a fit of rage, he broke his bat against the pole back behind that room there, and the bat head came off, and they came back and hit him right below the eye. I mean, he got really lucky that he didn't do more damage.
So you're in the clubhouse. We have a room designated. Is this the Mariners only, or is this around the MLB where they have that room designated to go take out anger and relieve stress?
I mean, it's not really just designated for that, but it's just kind of where they go. There's a bat rack back there, a wooden bat rack where they keep extra bats and helmets and stuff like that. And I do know that Mike Zunino, one time after a 4 strikeout game, took 2 of his bats and destroyed that bat rack into about 10 million pieces.
I love that.
And he also ripped the ear off of a helmet. Think about how strong those major league helmets are. He slammed it so hard it had a small crack, and in a fit of rage, he ripped it off and basically ripped the helmet in half.
So that's what I was going to ask you. I've never heard of anybody. You said you were more of a breaker of helmets than you were bats, and I was curious. Yeah. I feel like those helmets are pretty damn hard to break. So you just hitting them with the baseball bat, throwing them against the ground? What were you doing?
Yeah, if you spike them hard enough against concrete or against the dugout wall, or you repeatedly smash them against the ground. I mean, in college, a helmet's not gonna win against an aluminum bat. So I had to pay for those helmets, so my coach was not pleased.
Oh no, that's funny. Well, kind of as we touched on a little bit earlier with injuries and whatnot. Obviously the most recent one with our guy Kalu. What's the insight on that? Do you think he's going to be back this year at all? Do you think that Jared and Scott are going to say, "Hey, let's really take this slow, like extremely slow, because we don't need really to rush him this season." Obviously, the thought for the front office isn't aiming for the postseason this season; it's continued development. So what's your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think they've got to make sure they slow this kid down and get him healthy. You know, and Kyle does. I'm sure Kyle, he's pretty level-headed and he's had 2 surgeries. I think he should be smart, but you just never know with these guys. You're taught to play through pain and play hurt, but I don't know really what he's playing for. Yeah, this team is kind of hovering around 500, but in the long run, I just think if surgery is required, then you got to get it fixed and cleaned up. So one, you can start strengthening that knee, and then you can kind of just have a normal off season to build and rest. If you go into your off season and you have to have the surgery after the season's over with, and then you have to rehab it through your off season, you're not going to get your normal work that you get done. I mean, look at Shed Long. Spent all year rehabbing and still wasn't ready. I think if you have to do the surgery and it puts him down for however long, maybe you can get 20 games in September. Maybe you can send him to, I don't know, if he really wants games, you can send him to the winter leagues or whatever. But I just think you got to get the knee healthy. And I think they have to reassess where they're at with him in the field, what they project him as. And if you're Kyle, you're looking at this is costing you dollars eventually, because salary arbitration numbers and stuff, but they're down the road a little bit, are still about quantity, not necessarily quality. And, you don't make money when you're not on the field. So, I mean, you want to make money in arbitration. You want that first contract after he becomes a free agent to mean something, and you can't do that being hurt. But I do think he's going to be. I'd be surprised if they didn't do it. Everybody lives with torn meniscus on some level, but he tore his pretty badly in 2 spots in the first injury along with his ACL. So I don't know what there is left. And one thing is you can do is you can remove the meniscus on some level, but when you do that, then it's kind of a lengthy rehab to come back. Maybe that's what they do. But you also have to think about, hey man, is this guy really going to be a center fielder moving forward? Can you play him out there every day, or do you have to DH him 3 days a week and play him in left field instead?
I was listening to you and Larry actually talk about that, Larry Stone, on your guys' Extra Innings podcast. And I was kind of curious to see, because obviously the depth in the organization that we have in the outfield is pretty deep. And there's been trade rumors, obviously, amongst the fans about Mitch Haniger, if he's going to go before the deadline, if not. But if Kalu was to come back, if they took the meniscus out and then were to maybe put him towards DH, do you think that would be something that they're really kind of looking into, say, how can we keep all these heavy bats in the lineup without giving too much away?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you could get creative. Kyle, I mean, he made great strides defensively in the last couple of years, but he was never known as a great defensive center fielder. But really none of those guys are the true center fielders. Kelnick plays it, and he might play it probably the best out of all of them. But I don't know. He's gotten so muscular and so big that maybe he's not the best center fielder either. None of them are a true center fielder, but I don't even know how many of those really exist anymore. I don't know how they're going to make that work, but I do think you do have to use the DH in a way creatively to keep guys healthy and then keep them in the lineup. You can mix and match. It's not like you have to make Kyle Lewis, Nelson Cruz a full-time designated hitter, but you do have to wonder how much playing center field wears on him physically, and then also how much you want to play him in the field at all, and how much will DHing him every other day or go 2 days in a row, DH and play in the field, and how much would that help him to stay healthy? Because the knee is always going to be a problem going forward. Every time you have surgery, when you remove scar tissue, clean things up, cartilage is lost, everything like that. And, it's just going to be something he deals with. but like you've got to limit ways of making it worse.
Yeah, and then I had one more side question from that. Sorry, Chris, I know you got a question, but I was watching the Angels game and I saw Shohei was pitching and Shohei was also hitting while he was pitching, and they had a fielder that was a designated fielder, and so the National League can't choose to put in a DH, but it seems like the American League can choose to take the pitcher from the designated fielder into a hitter. Like, how does that work amongst the NL and AL? It just kind of seems like ironic, I guess, if that's for lack of better words.
Yeah, I didn't really, I don't know if I was covering that night or not. I don't really get it how it works either. I thought had to have the true designation. In college, you could do that, have the designated fielder. And stuff. I didn't know. I haven't watched enough of the Angels games to really know how that works. But it is, I mean, I should probably be watching it anytime he's up because it's like appointment viewing, but like it always seems, you know, I don't know what was going on. Oh, I think last time when they played the Angels, I had this deal for my mom. She won some big awards. I couldn't watch it, but I don't know how all that stuff works. It's kind of crazy.
So, Ryan, we have a lot of money to spend. How do you see this off season going? Do you think the Mariners go in on one of those 4 shortstops coming out? We got Javi Baez coming out, Seager's brother, Corey. Trevor Story's going to be out there from the Rockies, and then Carlos Correa. Jamal Crawford's looked awesome at shortstop. I feel like what did I say? Jamal Crawford?
Jamal.
Oh, God.
Thinking about who?
I've been watching NBA basketball, man. Oh, sorry. Yeah, JP Crawford. Do you think we go after one of those 4 big shortstops, or do you think we spend big in 2023? Do you think we kind of add smaller pieces in 2022?
Well, I mean, technically, Chris Bryant will be a free agent, and so will. It sounds like the Indians won't pick up the option year on Jose Ramirez either. So there's 2 third basemen not available. Bryant actually gives you third and first base left field. I don't know. You know, he's had a breakout year, a big year this year, but you know, he's also pretty injury prone. Yeah, like the shortstops, I don't think Corey Seager's coming here, and I don't think he's a shortstop moving forward much longer, maybe 2 more years. You know, he really hasn't been great defensively. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I think Story will probably be the cheapest of them all because he's also the youngest. But then you worry about the course field and the park factors and all that stuff. I just can't see how Correa doesn't stay with Houston. I mean, like, how can they mess that up? I'm sure they could, but yeah.
As a Mariner fan, I don't even want Correa.
I was about to say I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like he's been better this year, but and Baez swings and misses so much, so kind of all or nothing. Like obviously Lindor is the best of that class. Yeah, he's struggling a little bit, but still, I mean, I don't know. Like I guess my thinking is if there was a way where you could spend on third base more than a shortstop, I think JP's been probably their best overall player in the last, I don't know, month or so. And his defense is better than all those other guys' defense. Now, Correa is pretty good, but he dealt with some back issues too, and I think that's a concern. Yeah, I love Jose Ramirez because I'm roughly the same height as him, but I don't know if that bad body will hold up for like 6 or 7 year contract. But they got to spend money. Like they can't just save money for the sake of saving money. And you could, like, you know, Larry and I were talking about on our podcast, you could argue whether or not this step back or this rebuild is better now than he was even at the beginning of the season because of the injuries to Kyle, because of, you know, I mean, the little bit of a hiccup with Jared, you know, all these things. Like you just felt like, you know, and we're seeing the effects of no minor league season in 2020. You just sort of felt like they'd be better or farther along than they are now. And that's why I think there is some concern in a lot of ways. Like, well, maybe these guys aren't that close, but I still think you gotta spend. You just can't sit there and say we're not, because at least by doing that, you can add some talent to the roster that maybe doesn't force these guys into feeling like they got to do everything. I think that's been a big problem in all of this is like you look around and when they were struggling and trying to hit, and they weren't doing it, you have young guys thinking they have to be the ones to help carry this. But no, it should be veteran guys. And if you get Colton Wong and have him at second base, so you're not running these guys out there, or you go get Taiwan Walker for another starter and have some depth. You don't run into these problems. But they didn't want to do it. Kevin Mather didn't want them to do it, and now they're seeing kind of the consequences of that thinking.
Yeah, and I think you can get. I do love what Jerry's doing and trying to match these timelines up and get controllable players, but you can get a little bit too cute and say, we're not going to spend this early. I mean, a guy like Colton Wong would have been nice. You saw the Padres add Hosmer a little bit, maybe a year early, and I definitely hope that we don't just say we're not going to spend on a big time player like this because we have JP. I mean, Story could go to third. That's the guy that I want. But how do you feel about the job that Jerry's done? And do you think that if we don't make the playoffs by 2023, that it's kind of been a failure?
Yeah, I think Jerry's done fine overall. Like I think that the somewhat easy part was trading guys and getting talent. Now you can screw that up. Believe me, the Mariners have been kings of screwing something like that up. But taking good players like James Paxton at the time, or even Gene Segura, even with all the baggage, and trading them for young prospects, that's readily able. You're readily able to do that a lot. The biggest thing for Jerry now is how do you put together a roster, and how do you put together a 40-man roster, and how do you get these guys, your prospects, all these guys that you accumulated, how do you develop them at a proper rate? And also because there is attrition, if you have 20 prospects, I mean, then not all of them are going to be good or even major leaguers. I mean, even if you have 5 prospects in the top 100, history says that maybe only 3 turn out to something more than an everyday player or above average everyday player. So that's his challenge, I think. And then also navigating how do you add to it through free agency and understanding that you got to play maybe 15% over market value for a free agent. All those things this is the hard part of a rebuild. Tearing it down. I mean, yeah, it's kind of if you're redoing a house or something, tearing it down is the easy part. There's not a lot of skill in demoing something. It's the skill of trying to build something, that's workable after that. And, he hasn't really proven whether he can or can't.
Ryan, another decision that Jerry also has to make, and I've been seeing a lot on Twitter, is Mitch Haniger's future. And obviously he's been one of our most productive players this season. And so what do you see Mitch's future with the Mariners? Do you think he stays in Seattle, or do you think he gets dealt with towards the trade deadline? What's his future like, do you think?
Yeah, I kind of been wavering on this back and forth. I think Jerry would probably want to trade him. I don't know that ownership would let him trade him. I mean, and from a clubhouse standpoint, it would not go over well in that clubhouse to trade him. Now, I think Mitch probably believes he's going to get traded. I don't know that he'd be, if he gets traded to a contender, say he gets traded to the White Sox or the Braves or something like that. I'm sure that won't hurt his feelings, but they're in a weird spot with him. And, he is older, and I don't know what kind of extension he would accept, or if he feels like he could get better on the open market, but he's lost probably $15 million in arbitration. So, if he wants more financial stability, you could offer some to buy out, his first couple of years of free agency if you think he's good and can help carry this team. But the gap between Mitch and everybody else, I mean, JP's played well this last month, but the gap between Mitch and everyone else on this team right now in terms of performance and talent is pretty significant. And I don't know, how you just sell it to your fan base, your clubhouse, and the perception of who you are as an organization if you trade him. But at the same time, if you don't believe this is sustainable, or if you don't believe he's part of your future, then the prudent thing to do is trade him, because his value will never be higher than it is right now. Well, it was higher in 2018 after his All-Star season when they first, entertained offers on trading him, but they asked for the world and they weren't going to get it, but they could do that. I guess like if somebody gives you an offer that's so good you can't refuse it, then you probably need to do it. But you better make sure that you explain it to all those guys in the clubhouse on why you're doing it. Because like you sit there and tell these guys, oh, you're rebuilding to be competitive in 2021 and 2022. Well, baseball players' logic is pretty simple. How can we be competitive if you take away our best player and trade him for somebody else? A lot of times too, because like players don't get the prospects. It's like, how do you help me now? How do you help me win now? And trading Mitch Haniger doesn't help them win now.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And it's like, we already know what we have with Mitch, and with the prospects, we don't know. We have hope that they're going to be really, really good, but we already know what Mitch is bringing to the table, and his work ethic is just second to none with the rehab that he did. To come back this strong is incredible. But yeah, Ryan, I know you got a flight to catch. Really, really appreciate your time. It was great talking with you and meeting you and all that. But yeah, really appreciate the time, man.
Yeah, I'm glad we could work it out and get it squeezed in there. Like I said, I just switched some stuff up here, and then I was like, oh man, I got to do this, and I'm glad we can make it work.
All right, well, that was a good interview. I really enjoyed talking with Ryan. What about you guys?
I was so excited when you told me that you were able to lock that interview in. I mean, Ryan Divish has been like kind of my go-to guy, man. Like I listened to his Extra Innings podcast, and then he's also a special guest on a lot of the other podcasts I listen to on like 710 ESPN. So that was really exciting to get to talk to him, and I think he gave us just a phenomenal interview. He was very open. He answered each question in depth. We had like 20 questions planned out for him, and we only got to 5, which is great because we asked the important questions that we wanted to get across, and he just gave such great answers that were so lengthy that we just ran out of time. But love that interview, and loved having him on.
Yeah, he's just such a chill guy too, with I liked how obviously, you're a beat writer and that's your job, but it just seems like the way he makes it sound, it seems like you're just in a bar with him just talking baseball. And that's what he said about how he tries to write his story. So I thought that was fascinating. And then it was cool hearing his stories about, because I guess he's a really big into playing softball. And I guess he's like broken a few helmets here and there. So it was cool hearing that.
Dude, hearing that the Seattle, that like behind the dugout, we got a room, like a frustration room, to where they're beating the shit out of bats and helmets and whatnot. And what's his face? I forget who the guy who was talking about. Logan Morrison swinging a bat against the pole, and the shards of the bat came into pieces, almost hit him in the eyeball. Crazy shit apparently goes on there, down in there. So if we can get a player on one of these days, definitely going to be bringing that up and asking them about that anger frustration room.
Absolutely. And then I know we've already touched on it, but you're thinking about him rewriting stories. Think about, he probably had that story all written out for that game where Montero came in and
oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Blew the lead. So I mean, there's no way we can get him back this early, but it's like I almost just want to pick his brain and be like, hey, how'd you feel about that Montero?
You can tweet at him. He can get back to you, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, all in all, last week, what did we finish? 2 of 4?
Yeah, so we lost 1, lost 1.
Yeah, so 2 and 4.
4 losses in a row in the middle there, or 3 losses in a row in the middle there, and we started with a loss. So,
well, coming up, the good news is for this week, coming up, first 3 games are against Minnesota, who have been surprisingly underperforming this year. Granted, Byron Buxton on their team has been on the IL. I'm not sure if he's back yet. The last time I checked, he was still on it. But we're 2-1 against them. We won the first series that we had against them this year. And so Marco's back on the mound tomorrow to kick the series off. We're going to need to see some big things out of Marco. He's going to need to pick it up. As we were saying a little bit earlier in this episode, he's got to show that he's back. I know he's had some injuries, but this is his 3rd start since the injury, since being back from the injury. So this is where we need to see him really step it up into high gear. But after Minnesota, that's going to be a doozy. We got Tampa Bay Devil Rays, and the Tampa Bay Devil Rays are actually pretty damn good this year. So
They're like the Oakland A's of the East, you know. They just find a way to do it on a small budget. They have probably we have a great farm system, but they probably have the best farm system in the league, and they've won those trades against us. I believe we like to. Jerry likes to call the Tampa Bay number and make some things happen. And we did get Jake Fraley though in that trade. That's actually I might have to go back and evaluate
if Jake can if Rake Fraley can keep doing what he's doing. I mean, so in the game on Sunday, he wasn't supposed to play. He came in because as we were talking about, Mitch Haniger took that ball off the knee. So he came in to replace him, and then he hits a 2-run bomb. I mean, he two games in a row with a home run. Seems like he's found his swing. One other thing we didn't talk about was in Shane Bieber, just to briefly touch on this. We were all over his curveball, all over it. And so the discipline that the batter showed was really good. Hopefully that can transition to this next week. But back to being on track. Yeah, Tampa Bay, they're at 42-24, 7-3 in their last 10 on a 3-game win streak right now, plus 84 run differential. They're doing really good. So that'll be a doozy for that second half of this week. But as we said, Minnesota 26-38, quite a difference between the Devil Rays. And so we hopefully can go in and take it to them. I mean, they're 4-6 in their last 10 games. And so, I'm feeling confident, right? You guys confident?
I would say on paper, we probably go 2-4, and I would definitely take 3-3. I mean, I know the Twins don't have the greatest record, but they were supposed to be a playoff team coming into this year. So yeah, we got to capitalize on that series. Hopefully they don't start figuring it out right when they play us. That's probably how they're thinking. If you're a Twins fan, you're thinking, hey, we got the Seattle Mariners. Let's try to get back on track. And then with the Rays, you know, it's baseball. You could win 2 out of 3, but most likely we just take one, and hopefully we don't get.
It's a 4-game series.
Okay, dude, this is the second time I've done this. I'm like, would you go 3-3? You're like, well, there's 7 games here, Chris. So
if we could split that series and win the series against the Twins, that's a W. That's a W right there. Just split that, and who knows? Maybe we do something crazy.
So that's the game plan. You split that, and then you try to capitalize on the Twins. Hopefully, they don't turn it on against us, because that's how they're thinking.
I don't think they will. I'm confident against the Twins, and I always have been, just because Minnesota. I mean, how is Minnesota going to have a good baseball team? It's Minnesota. It's a hockey state.
They have good
I don't know.
They have good players.
Yeah, they do. I know, but I don't know.
I think we could even like break it down to a little bit like game by game. I don't know who's pitching after Marco, but if we don't win that first game, I don't think we win the series. So
you gotta win the first
pretty
game.
Big that Marco comes out and has a good game, a bounce back game. He hasn't been the Marco we've been used to, but if he can come back and kind of show that bulldog mentality that he has, because we love his we love what he does when he's in the clubhouse, but we'll see what he can do on the mound.
Yes, and then I guess kind of one of the last things to talk about. So Oscar's Army, the video got put out, and what I did, I went to take it to Twitter. I took it to Twitter, to the Twitter world, ladies and gentlemen, and holy shit, did I get berated by Astros fans. I have experienced nothing like this in my life. So what I did is I tagged some people in the tweet, and there's an Astros shame tour account on Twitter shaming the Astros, the 2021 shame tour, shaming the Astros for cheating. But then there's an Astros shame tour account. So it's an account shaming the shame tour account. So it's kind of an ironic account.
Are you saying tour or tour?
Tour.
I still don't know. Keep going.
Tour. Tour. And I tagged the wrong one. And it's an Astros account is what I tagged. It's run by Astros fans. I got a freaking article, ladies and gentlemen, written about me by pretty much their Lookout Landing. I got an article written about me, and they were just talking some shit. I had never been hit up on Twitter so much and berated so much on a social media site. I was like, wow, this is what famous people go through, I guess, when people are talking shit. I had my day of fame, I guess we'll call it. But it was cool. I had a lot of fun just chirping back at these guys, and they were just it was just stupid shit they would say. If you want a good laugh, Monday at Monday Mojo Chris is my Twitter. Go to it. Give me a follow, and go look at the exchanges I had with some Astros fans at Monday Mojo Chris. You guys won't be disappointed. It was some fun shit. But on that note, we need some more donations, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting a little light on this Oscars army, and I really want to get 9,000. Houston, the Astros fans are saying there's no way in hell we're going to do it. So, I say let's try and prove them wrong. Get a little bit more. I guess share the videos, do what you can. I mean, $5, $1, $10. I don't care. Just a little bit of something would be helpful, and we would really appreciate your support, ladies and gentlemen.
You got anything, Evan?
I just thought it was it was dying in our group chat because we the three of us, you, me, and Max, we don't have Twitter, but of course Chris does, and so
yeah, I had no help.
Chris
I had
was
no
like,
help from you.
Chris was like, I need backup guys. Like, might as well just throw me in the wolves, and so yeah, I was.
Not only that, but I was at work, so like I don't have like a lot of downtime at work. So it's like when you're there, you're working and then you clock off. So like I just happened to look at my phone. He's like, wow. And like I look at it late, like an hour had already gone by since he sent the text. And he's like, wow, guys, thanks for the help. And I'm like quickly writing back, like, don't have a Twitter, bro. Even if I did, I'm at work. Like, no chance to help you. Good luck.
Yeah, it was I felt alone, cold and alone, but I made it through. The battle.
I'm talking.
We got an article written about us, so like that's we got to kind of go with the Jake Paul trend where people just hate to see what we do with that GoFundMe, but at the same time it's it's gained some viewership, and I think it helped us. So
some morons, because I donated to the GoFundMe, and some morons from Houston, they're all chirping me for donating to my own GoFundMe. And I'm like, wait, so hold on. You're telling me that it's a bad thing for somebody to create a GoFundMe and then for them to donate themselves to that GoFundMe? When they're asking other people to donate, you think it's wrong for them to donate to it? And I was like, you guys sound so stupid.
That was a strong point for you. I think you won that argument,
I have ants. Damn it. Sorry, sidetrack. I just have seen ants all over my wall. This is disgusting. All right.
Well, I mean,
we should all get a Twitter so we can help you out there.
What's that?
We should probably get a Twitter.
Yes, you guys should get a freaking Twitter. You definitely should help your boy out, and then we can chirp back to him right now. But yeah. Other than that, I didn't have too much else to cover this week. Except for picks to hit, baby. Evan won again. Evan, pick first for this week's Monday Mojo picks to hit. Who do you got?
I'll keep it going. Let's see. So
how many points did you have, Evan?
I finished with 16. So Rake Fraley definitely helped me out there, and so let's see.
So real quick, are we going with are you adding your score from last week to the 16 you got this week, or do you?
Are we doing total points for? We're just doing per week, right?
Well, yeah. I don't know how the Padres do.
No, we're just gonna we're doing just whatever points you got this week, and then
yeah. It was just 16 this week. Let's see. So I already picked JP. I've already picked Fraley. Then let's see. I'm gonna go with. All right, this is gonna be a little controversial, but I'm gonna go with Shed Long. I think that he is gonna, I think maybe I'm just good luck, man. Where I call my players and then they just take off. So I'm gonna go Shed Long.
Okay, this is like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I'm gonna ask you final answer because that is a crazy pick.
We said the same thing about Jake Fraley last week to him, though. So who knows?
Man, because right. I'm gonna take Jake Fraley right here.
Dope. I got JP Crawford. Thank you so much, because JP has.
I couldn't take JP again. I would have.
Yeah, so I'm in a little bit. Yeah,
Evan. No, Evan. You misunderstood. It's you just can't pick up 2 times in a row.
You can take JP.
What?
Yeah, Evan.
I thought it was.
Oh, it's not too late.
I thought it was.
No, it is. It's too late. It's too late.
Yeah, I walked in. That's fine. All right, I'll just know for next week. Okay, so that changed the whole ball game. I thought we couldn't pick him for the rest of the season. That's why I was looking for somebody else.
Evan, we would run through the lineup.
Yeah.
How would that work? It wouldn't work.
I got Dylan Thomas. Let's go, Dylan. He's in AAA.
Yeah, you start picking AAA players.
Yeah.
You don't think you should give Evan a chance to take JP again?
Hell no, I'm taking.
No, it's I have faith in Shed.
I'm getting
I have faith in
smacked.
Shed.
I ain't
Yeah.
giving nobody any help. I need the help. I need all the help I can get. And JP's been killing it, so hopefully he can do it again this week for me.
So is Maxi out on this week or?
Yeah, he's out on this week. Oh yeah, listeners. By the way, Max Schwab, said the sloth. He's on another vacation. He's in the woods camping. I think has no reception. So he's not on this show. If you haven't noticed, yes, it is pretty much the ending of this show here for this week. But Max is not here. I don't know if you noticed or not. But that about wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. So good week of Manners. Not a good week in review for the 2-4 we finished with the Seattle Manners, but hopeful that we can come out this week with a winning record. Monday Mojo recorded on a Sunday, dropped on a Monday. Appreciate y'all listening, and go Mariners.